Okay, first off, I totally understand that this form of medium setup and illustration will automatically draw comparisons from other well-known web-based reviews, namely him, and of course him. Call it what you will, but I enjoy both of the aforementioned and have been looking for a good way to get my views across the interweb. Also, I draw on a PC about as well as Paris Hilton gets out of a cab without showing off her c***. So stick men abound, and in the sincerest form of flattery, here goes. The blame of violence has been thrown at the feet of gaming so many times that those of us around games no longer bat an eyelid, apart from the army of uneducated freaks that feel like their mother is being donkey punched every time a bad word is said about the industry. When some ill-informed tabloid readers wax lyrical about how their son tried to climb into the U-bend of their toilet with the family turtle because he saw Mario do it, us informed types let the tabloids have their little rant, knowing Britney will be riding a donkey through Vegas naked later that week, and the papers will move on. The problem is that some games, and I'm going to catch so much shit for saying this, need reeling in. My argument is, like rubbish origami, twofold. Firstly, we'll deal with the creators. The most recent game to be blackballed by the UN, okay, not the UN, but you catch my drift, is Rockstar's Manhunt 2. The reason for this is that their game is way too blatantly and needlessly fucking violent. Excuse my French. Okay, not French swearing. Whatever possessed Rockstar to make such a game, apart from the fact that they seem to love being an industrial magnet for such bad press, is beyond me. Maybe it's the fact that I'm creeping towards 30, maybe it's because I had parents that loved me as a child, or maybe it's because my childhood was devoid of Japanese cartoons force-feeding me weird animals that come from a guy's balls. But I don't see what the entertainment value is behind creeping up on person after person and killing them with horrifically graphic imagery. It's like all the recent horror movies, all trying to garner the most disturbing image in order to sell their movie as it was the sickest thing since Pop Idol. We used to have crazed masked killers and the single victim's desperate frantic escape. Now we have dozen people getting chopped to pieces on camera with more blood than a Stephen King prom and less ethics than a Catholic priest. They are very similar issues and, to burst the minds of those not paying attention, also totally different. The thing that seems to confuse the Halo 3 fanboys, I generalise them as the sex-devoid gamers who get angry at classification, and if you don't like it you can choke poll. These films are made, they are classified, and they are released, so why does a game that handles the same sort of content get banned throughout at least my country? The answer is as simple as a fan of Two Worlds. In a game, you are controlling the guy who is putting a brick through the stranger's face. It may seem like nothing, but it's a massive issue. Watching someone bludgeon a fool to death is bad, or a superlative that would add gravity to my argument, and as such you generally need to be 18 or over to observe such a sick nut-bar movie. But when you are moving a person around a specific way, and you are trying to achieve the specific goal of mutilating everyone in sight, and in the case of Manhunt 2 for no good fucking reason, of which there can be none because killing is one thing, violently killing is quite another, then the game deserves to be banned from ever seeing the light of day. Okay, now we move, hastily, before the fanboys take Rockstar's cock out of their mouths and hunt me down, onto the second part of my argument, classification. It seems to me that as a gaming enthusiast, look, I played Oh Mummy on my Spectrum Plus 2 and most recently Conflict Denied Ops on my 360. I consider myself an enthusiast. On a side note, the former is the better game. My job of defending the gaming industry would be improved 100 times over if there was a legal classification system in place to stop 8-year-old little Timmy from blowing a hooker's head off after she sucked his cock and took his money. So when 3 high school students go into their next sociology class and pull out an Ingram M10 and spray the room with bullets like some Beirut architect and the newest violent game gets blamed, we can just point at the big red 18 sticker on the back of the box and get back to playing Uno on Xbox Live. The only problem with a legal classification is that most parents, including some of my friends, are as thick as a rhino's backside. Most mothers wouldn't have the first clue about the content of the games that they're readily purchasing for their kids, whether they think they're buying a fantasy brawling game like Dead or Alive, oblivious to the massive and quite frankly disturbingly mobile or a regular cutesy non-threatening romp, just gagged a little, in Eternal Sonata. So in order for the classification to work, we would also need to educate the population, much like they do with that annoying BBFC advert before we see every film. It makes me want to throw my controller at the DVD player when the skip button only succeeds in producing the quite obvious message, this feature is not available. In conclusion, kids shouldn't be buying games that they cannot fully understand. Parents shouldn't be buying games for their kids, especially if guidelines are put in place to inform them of the unsuitable content. Game designers shouldn't create dog shit that they pass off as a game when in actual fact it's nothing more than a 9-hour snuff film. And I believe that all of the gaming laws, especially concerning kids, should be airtight, because I'm 28 and can buy whatever I fucking well please.